The sea had been kind that morning, smooth, pale, and shimmering with early light. The gulls cried overhead, familiar and wild, as we entered the harbour, sails full and proud, like they'd missed the coastline as much as I had. I stood at the bow, hands wrapped around the rail, heart beating faster than it had in months. There was the cliff. I had thought of that place more times than I could count, on sleepless nights in foreign harbours, on long quiet watches with only stars and the creak of rope for company. That cliff had become my compass, more reliable than any map or chart, and now as we drew closer, my eyes scanned the rise above the sea, searching for her silhouette. She was there, a figure small against the sky, standing still as stone, dress caught in the wind. She hadn't moved, or maybe she had, just enough to let the breeze carry the shape of her to me. I knew it was her. I would have known from twice the distance. I had left with promises, folded into letters, with her voice tucked behind my ribs like a song. I'd thought time and distance might wear them thin, that I might forget the way her presence settled the air around me. But there she was, and I felt in that instant the ache of every mile collapse into something quiet and sure. Soon, the ropes would be tied, the plank lowered. I would step onto solid ground, walk the path I had walked in dreams, and climb that hill. She was waiting, and I was finally home.
The wind caught the hem of my dress as I stood at the edge of the cliff. The sea air brushing against my face like a warm, familiar hand. Below, the harbour stirred with morning life. Sails unfurling, gulls sweeping low over the water, fishermen calling to one another as the tide rose to meet the shore. But all I could see was the shape of a single ship, moving steadily into port, its sails proud and white against the blue. He had been gone nearly a year. I had counted seasons by the colour of the trees, by the scent of the air. I had learned to live in the space his absence left behind, doing small things slowly, carefully, as though if I rushed, I might miss the sound of his footsteps returning. I had tried not to imagine this moment too many times, afraid that hope might start to bruise if I held it too tightly. But now, here he was, his ship, smaller now than I remembered, approached like a promise kept. I pressed a hand to my chest, steadying my breath. Everything I wanted to say to him was waiting just behind my ribs. I wondered if he would recognize me from this distance, if the wind might carry the shape of me down to the water. I wondered if he knew that I had never missed a day on this cliff, watching every sail that rose on the horizon, waiting for the one that felt like home. He would step off that ship. He would walk up the hill, and I would finally stop waiting.
The dock groaned under my boots as I stepped onto it, the sound oddly grounding. Around me, the crew moved in a practiced rhythm, coiling ropes, shouting greetings to the harbour hands, laughing in the way men do when they're glad to be alive. But their voices blurred into the background. My eyes never left the hill. I could still see her, unmoving, a dark silhouette framed by the rising sun. She hadn't come down to meet me. Somehow that felt right. She had waited this long, what was a few more minutes. I moved through the harbour like a man with one purpose. The world narrowed to the dusty path that curved upward, the stones I remembered underfoot, the way the sea sounded softer the higher I climbed. My legs were steady, my heart was not. The closer I came, the more real she became, not just a shape anymore, but her, hair pulled back, hands clasped in front of her, like she didn't trust them to stay still. Her dress, simple, familiar, billowed gently in the breeze. The wind had a way of playing with her that made me jealous. She didn't step forward when I reached the top. She didn't have to. We just stood there for a moment, breathing the same air again, both of us rooted in place by something larger than time. Up close, I could see that her eyes were glassy. But she didn't cry. Neither did I. There was something sacred about the silence. Words, I think, would have felt too small. I reached for her hand. She let me in. Her fingers were warm. And just like that, the year apart fell away. Not forgotten, not erased, but folded neatly into the space between us, where it would rest quietly, no longer heavy. I am finally home.